Today I'm going to give you 5 practical ways to negotiate payment terms that protect your cash, lower your stress, and give your company room to grow. Quick favor before we start, grab that pen and paper so you can take some notes. You can take some ideas you can implement in your company. I don't want you to just listen to this and say, hey, that was neat. I want you to actually be able to write something down and implement it in your business. Also, another important disclaimer. Today is for general education only. This is not tax, legal, or accounting advice. Every business is different and every family is different. So talk with your own advisor before you make decisions. And if you do not have an advisor, direct message me and we'll set up a time to talk. Also, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel at P6BizBuilders. I share practical videos about cash flow, profit, taxes, systems, leadership, and how to run your company with clear numbers and less stress. Now let's get started. Most business owners think the negotiation ends when both sides agree on a price. I do not. The price tells you how much you should earn, but your payment terms should determine when you actually receive the money. Let's say you land a $40,000 project. Sounds great. But before the customer pays you, you have to have already paid employees, suppliers, subcontractors, materials, fuel, insurance, equipment rental, permits, and office expenses. Everyone expects your company to pay on time. Meanwhile, you may still be waiting for your customer's money. That is where growth creates the pressure. You may have more sales, a full schedule, employees working overtime, but still be short of cash because you are paying the project costs weeks before collecting the money. That is why I tell clients, revenue does not fund your business, cash flow does. Growth needs cash, not invoices sitting on somebody's inbox. So write this question down. How much of each customer's projects are we financing with our own cash? Think about that. When your company pays for the labor and materials while the customer holds the cash, your business may have quietly become the customer's bank. That's not good. Let me give you an example. I worked with an owner of a very successful contracting business. Work was not the problem. The schedule was full. Customers liked the work and revenue looked good. But almost every month the owner worried about payroll. He delayed replacing equipment, used credit cards for purchases, and even turned down opportunities because he was not sure the company could afford another large project. I asked him, how are your project billed? How quickly do invoices go out? How long does the average customer take to pay? What expenses do you cover while waiting? And then, what is that delay stopping you from doing in your business? You get delayed to the cash flow. What can't you do in your business that you would be able to do with that cash? First, we understand the current situation. Then we identify the problem and how it affects the owner, employees, company. Only then do we talk about solution. His customers were taking 52 days to pay. Think about that, almost 2 months. Suppliers want a payment with about 2 weeks. Employees were paid every Friday. Cash left every week, but did not come back for almost 2 months. He did not need more work first. He needed payment terms that matched the way the company spent money. We did not start by raising every price or spending more on marketing. We changed the payment structure. Within a few months, the company had healthier cash flow, less stress, and more confidence to grow. Why do owners accept payment terms that hurt their company? Usually it's fear. They worry the customer will say no, or they will lose the job, or they think this is just how everybody in our industry does it. I understand that concern, but protecting your company does not mean becoming difficult or aggressive. It means having a professional conversation with your customer. Instead of asking, will the customer be upset if I ask for a deposit, ask, what happens if we continue funding every project for the customer? How does that affect payroll, hiring, and equipment, and our ability to start and take the next job? What would improve if our payment schedule matched the work we completed? You may not get every term you request, but everything in a proposal can be discussed: scope, schedule, materials, price, responsibilities, and payment terms. The goal is not to win against the customer. The goal is to create an agreement both sides understand and your company can safely deliver. Here's 5 ways to negotiate better payment terms. Number 1, make payment terms part of the sales process. Do not wait until the customer is ready to sign. Bring payment terms up early as part of your normal process. You might say, to reserve time on our schedule, we collect a deposit before the project begins. The remaining payments are tied to progress of the work. You are not apologizing, you are explaining how your company operates. And remember, it's your company, it's not their company. You need the cash flow. They want you to do the work. They should pay you. Also ask, who approves our invoices? Is there a purchase order we need before starting? And how long does payment take after approval? Those few questions can prevent weeks of delay. Number 2, explain the benefit to the customer. Do not make the terms sound like they only help you. Explain what the payment makes possible. The deposit allows us to order your materials, reserve the crew, and keep your project on schedule. Now the customer understands the reason. You can also ask, what would be important for you to see before each payment is released? This makes it a two-way conversation. You're just not dictating, you're having that discussion, what's going back and forth. 3, break large projects into clear stages. If a project takes 6 weeks, 2 months or longer, do not wait until the end to bill everything. You may use a deposit before work begins, a payment when materials arrive, a payment at a clear milestone, saying when walls are framed or we feel that we're 50% done, and a final payment at completion. The stages should match the work being performed. For a service company, billing may be weekly, monthly, or tied to a deliverable. What's the deliverable? It may be financial statements, it may be your consulting contract and your report at the end, but that doesn't mean that you can't bill weekly or monthly, and then the final billing goes when the deliverable gets out. Again, the exact structure depends on the project and the agreement, but ask, why should our company carry the full cost of a long project until the end? Remember, you're doing this for the benefit of the customer, as well as for the benefit of you. You know, you're going to make money on this, but the customer needs you to do this for them. Excuse me. Number 4, do not assume the first answer is final. A customer may say, our standard terms are 60 days. That does not mean the conversation is over. Ask, is there any flexibility? Could we use milestone payments because of the material cost? Would a deposit be possible before materials are ordered? Is there a faster option if invoices are submitted electronically? Then listen. Just let them talk. Do not argue or rush to fill the silence. You want to hear what they have to say. Sometimes the person you're talking to cannot change the terms. Ask, who would need to be part of this conversation? You may not get everything you request, but if you never ask, you will never know. 5 is very important. Put every agreement in writing. Once the terms are agreed upon, document them clearly. Include the deposit, invoice dates, due dates, milestones, who approves the work, who receives the invoice, What happens when the scope changes and any allowed late payment terms? Do not rely on, I thought we talked about that. Clear agreements protect the customer from your company. And the big one that I've seen major problems on is that scope change. You agree on the project, you're going to do this. You get partway through the project, the customer decides they want to change it. Stop work, get a scope order change signed and agreed upon before you continue any work. These agreements protect the customer and your company. They also make follow-up easier. You can say, our agreement shows this payment was due when the project reached this stage. And you can also say, even in the contract, saying that we will stop any work when there is a scope change, and we will continue the work when the scope change agreement is signed. And then you go on from there. Is there anything missing that is preventing the invoice from being processed? Remember, that is professional, and it gives the customer a chance to identify a real problem. Because you may have a problem in whatever you're doing for the customer, but they just haven't told you. If you keep communication lines open between you and the customer, you should find out if there's any problems that you can correct so you can get paid. Before we finish, write down 5 questions. How much money do customers owe us? How much is past due? And how many days does it normally take to get us paid? That's number 3. Number 4, how much cash do we spend before receiving the first payment? What you think about there is material costs. You may have to schedule some crew. You may have to have the crew go out and look at the site. So you're going to have to pay some crew, materials. That's how much cash you're spending before you're receiving the first payment. In which payment term should we change before the next project? Don't worry if you cannot answer all 5 today. It means you found where to start. Maybe you need a deposit. Maybe invoices need to go out sooner. Maybe the customer needs clear milestones. Maybe invoices have gone to the wrong person, or maybe nobody follows up when an invoice becomes late. You cannot improve what you are not reviewing. Pick one change and use it on your next proposal. Agreed upon proposal written down. So let me bring this home for you. Most business owners believe growth comes from selling more. Sometimes it does, but many businesses do not have a sales problem. They have a cash flow problem. More sales do not automatically create more cash. If your company pays employees, suppliers, material costs weeks before customers pay you, more work can create more pressure because you have more money going out and it still hasn't come in yet. Payment terms are not just paperwork. They are part of your cash flow plan. Again, when you're meeting with that customer, talk about payment early. Explain the reason. Use clear milestones. Ask whether standard terms can be changed. And put those agreements in writing. Make sure everything's in writing before you either start work or continue work after a scope change. The faster you collect the money you have already earned, the stronger your business becomes. You can make those decisions more confidence, replace equipment when needed, hire when the right person comes along. If today's live made you think about your payment terms or cash flow, take the next step. If you would like help seeing where the cash may be getting stuck, send me a private message, direct message with the word cash flow. You do not need to put anything in the comments. My team or I will send you information about the 13-week cash flow forecast we use with business owners. And if you want to find out what it's like to work with me and my company before discussing your company's finances, let's have a talk. We can talk about what's going on in your company, what you want your company to look like, whether my team and I can help. If it works out, wonderful. We'll do wonderful things together. Great. But if it doesn't work out, we just part as friends. No pressure. Again, also make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel for more practical videos. It's at P6BizBuilders. These videos will be about running your company with clearer numbers and less stress. And by the way, do you know of anyone who could use our services? Maybe their company is busy, but they're still worried about payroll. Maybe they have plenty of sales, but cannot predict when cash will arrive. Feel free to share my information or ask them to send me a private message. Thanks for spending time with me today. Remember, a good sale matters, but the sale does not help pay today's bills until the money reaches your bank account. Review your payment terms before your next proposal and make one improvement this week. Have a great week, everybody, and I'll see you next week